It's so funny how this older gentleman offered to buy my coffee after I already ordered it. He was being like kind of a creep in line, but he was like talking to me. I said, oh, you go first. He goes, no, you go first. So I order first, right? He hears me order. He's standing literally right behind me. Hears me order, watches me pay. I sign, and then I step aside. Then he looks at the lady and says, oh, did she already pay? And I was like, oh, I already paid. And he goes, oh, I would have bought it for you. I would have paid. No, you wouldn't have. You just literally witnessed the whole thing, and now you're just saying that to try and make yourself look good. But women are too smart for that, so you can't even do that. It's just like so hilarious. Like, you're gonna sit there creeping on me, then insist that I go first, watch me pay, and wait till the end of the entire transaction to be like, I was gonna pay. You weren't gonna.
A smelly fish.
And it's not a cod.
Translation? Some guy I didn't find attractive looked at me for 2 seconds while in line at the coffee shop. I purchased my overpriced beverage without any issue. The man said nothing, but that didn't stop me from wishing that he actually did say something. But since my imagination counts for reality, I need to figure out the most bonkers way I can spin this to not only make this complete stranger seem like the worst human possible, while also making me look like a victim because I have nothing else going for me outside of fabricating stories on TikTok so I can get validation from all the other hopeless screw-ups on the internet. In fact, the only thing that does bother me is how many men that I deem ugly to be the same ones who leave me alone and let me live my life without any form of dramatic altercation. So now I'm forced to make up these stories to demonize the very same men who are minding their own business. And since I have nothing else going for me in life, I feel perfectly justified in dragging these men through the mud if it meets my daily ration of internet pity. Yes, my life is truly that meaningless. On a scale of 1 to 10, how close am I?
10.
According to the male psyche, when you do something nice for a man, he is thinking, I am so amazing because you are doing this for me. What in the delusion? I'm gonna say it again. If a woman does something nice for a man, he doesn't think, wow, this woman is amazing. He's thinking, I must be so amazing because she wants to do that for me. When I heard this, I was like, are you serious? Because if someone does something nice for me, that reflects nothing on me. That means that they are amazing, not I. So if you needed any other reason not to do anything special for a man who doesn't deserve it, because you're just inflating his ego, the only time that they will actually see you for the value that you are is when you take care of yourself. This is confirmed, by the way. I have a girlfriend who made a meal for her boyfriend, and he turned back and said, what did I do in a past life to deserve this? Instead of, thank you, honey.
Well, what did the police say?
Alright, well, if we're being perfectly honest, if a modern woman is doing something nice for a man, I can assure you, sister, he's not thinking about how great he is. The immediate gut reaction is to believe that you want something, typically in the form of a financial favor or permission to go on a girls trip with your ex, and you're trying to butter him up to convince you to agree to your terms. The second is that you screwed up and you're trying to soften the blow on how badly you screwed up, and this usually revolves around getting his money stolen, crashing his car, or cheating on him, or it's some form of a trap. And considering that the one thing modern women love more than the smell of their own queefs is keeping score against men, the second you do something nice for him, you'll use that thing against him the second he doesn't do something that you want him to do. Meanwhile, you expect men to do literally everything to make the relationship work, and no matter what he does, it will always be considered the bare minimum because women weren't allowed to legally operate electric kettles until 1971. Most self-respecting men are caught off guard when someone does something nice for them because it really is that rare. And when you say crap like this, all you're doing is telling women that it's totally fine to emotionally abuse a man because even if you don't, he'll still be a bastard.
Yeah, that checks out. That sounds about right.
There is something that a lot of guys do, which I think is the ultimate indicator that they're not ready to date you seriously. I don't even think they realize they do this. It's a subconscious and very subtle thing. Now, I don't care if he's texting you every single day. I don't care if he's taking you on like your 4th date and everything's going great. I don't care if he surprises you with flowers at your house on a random Tuesday. Like, I swear if he does this thing, it means he's not ready to date seriously. If a guy is talking about his ex, he mentions his ex, compares something you do to his ex, he's not ready and he's not over her. I don't care if he says he's over her. I don't care if he says he hates her. I don't care if he said they ended mutually great. If he brings her up unprompted, what you doing? I don't want to know about it.
Nobody cares what you think.
Alright, so in other words, even if a man does everything right and ticks all of your boxes, if he does one thing wrong, you're totally fine with sabotaging the relationship just for you to unnecessarily save face. There are several legitimate reasons as to why a man might bring up his ex unprompted, and one of the biggest reasons as to why is to either explain something or to open up to you because he's made the worst possible mistake a man could make and he feels like he can trust you. It could also be a vain attempt to try to put you on one of those pedestals that you never shut up about. But meanwhile, you're not only allowed to keep bringing up your exes ad nauseum, you're also allowed to compare that man to your ex, tell stories about your ex and how they traumatized you, and in turn, that allows you to treat that man with less than the respect that he deserves because you keep going after the wrong man. Now, if this is a situationship, then the same rules don't apply, but that's just because he's not going to take you seriously, and you're going to forgive anything that he does if it means you can dilute yourself into thinking you have a shot with him, but hey, I totally get it. If you're not the one that's allowed to set the rules, then the rules just don't count, am I right?
There's genuinely no reason why a guy should be bringing up his ex to you unless you specifically asked him, hey, can you tell me about your previous relationships? Why would it matter to me that I order sushi all the time and your ex always did that? Like, I did not ask, and that's unnecessary information. It's also unnecessary information to tell me that one of your ex-girlfriends sent you my TikTok. Like, cool, great, congratulations. I didn't ask. It's not like you're telling me information about your ex that would help our relationship progress and be like, listen, this happened with my ex-girlfriend. It really made me realize that this is what I like in relationships, and so I'd like to do that. No, but you're just casually bringing up your ex-girlfriend to me. You're still in love with her. Send her that text. Tell her. I would look out for this because anytime a guy does this, I've realized that they are not over their ex whatsoever, and it's good to just know this in advance. That way you can be like, you know what? You take your time. I'm gonna date other people while you heal. Shout out to those ex-girlfriends because you made this man unable to lose you from his brain. So I just want to say shout out to the ex-girlfriends.
Man, that's just mean. That's mean, man.
Lady, I personally don't think it's fair for you to be giving out life advice when your life is a complete and utter train wreck, and that is the nicest compliment I can give you at the moment. Now, regardless of whether or not this man is still talking to his ex, you're still going to be quote-unquote dating other people, because if it's not the talk of his ex that bothers you, it'll be the way that he chooses food. And if he chooses food perfectly, then you won't like his word choice when it comes to the Barbie movie. And even if he somehow navigates the minefield of impossibility that you set for him, you'll still figure out a way to issue him a red flag and say that he's just not your person. And then you still have the nerve to say that he needs to go heal while you bandage up your mental wounds with boxed wine and reruns of the Kardashian reality show of your choice. Now, don't get me wrong, there are tons of people out there who are hung up on their exes, but to just flat out say that they're still in love with them says a hell of a lot more about you than it does about them. Not like it really matters anyway. Even if you're saying nothing, we all know that you're secretly comparing the talking stage guy to Chad, Tyrone, Raphael, Marco, Chang, Wang, Takeda, and Paulie the Poon Pounder Pustarelio. So don't act like you're the victim, sweetheart.
No one makes friends with a failure. Okay? You understand?
Guys, do I look old? Everyone guess how old I am. Like, be honest.
Yeah.
Yesterday, my cousin was like, you look old, so let's do makeup to look young. To be honest, I don't even know what he's talking about because literally that's the most my eyebrows can move, so I don't really have wrinkles. But anyways, so I think like glowier makeup makes you look young. So yesterday I was wearing like more of a full beat. To be honest, he actually said that it was because of my lips, which like everyone is apparently coming for them this week. I feel like less is more with the concealer, like a tiny dot of it, like it's giving Hailey Bieber. Bronzer, but not too much bronzer. Like youthful. Is this a youthful bronze? Blush on the nose. And then I feel like powder, just a little bit. I feel like more. Roll them, and I'm not gonna put mascara. I think I'm just gonna put Vaseline. It's cute.
Old.
Old?
Old.
You You know, it's kind of sad that I have to be the one to tell you this, but the worst thing that you can do on the internet, outside of practically anything, is to ask the internet if you look old or not. Half of them will lie to you, and the other half will troll you. Now, I have no idea how old you are, and I personally couldn't care less. Gen Z is aging like a crate of Cody's 50% grade B varmint milk, and it's come to the point where it's really going to be tough to tell the difference between someone who's 21 and 35. Now, I will admit, some age a bit more gracefully than others, but lady, I have to ask, has it ever occurred to you that rubbing endless amounts of chemicals into your skin is probably not the best thing you can do for your looks? I mean, war paint tutorials have made up for no less than 12% of all of the content on TikTok, and when you consider the current makeup trend is to completely alter your face with chemicals, it's not really a good look. But since you're asking, I really don't have much choice but to guess how old you are. So if I had to venture one, I'd say that you're somewhere between the ages of 18 and 34. And that's literally the reason why you never ask someone on the internet how old you are. Because you might end up finding somebody who's unafraid to tell you the truth.
I know it, your family knows it. Dogs know it.
Spitters or quitters, because what do you mean you're about to waste a free protein shot? Like, have you seen the price of groceries out here? We ain't wasting free food around here. Suck it up.
Ew.
I get it. Yeah, you're broke and you're poor and you can't afford food, so you're actually trying to make innuendos to make ends meet. Yeah, that's not gonna work, sister. You're kind of disgusting. But you know what's not disgusting? The fine members of the bounty board over on Patreon. These fine folks are giving me some great support in getting content out to you guys every single day, and I cannot thank you guys enough, and I salute you. All hail! And if you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the bounty board over on Patreon, where $5 a month gets you access to exclusive content you're not going to find on YouTube. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment down below for you.
Sir, yes you do. I promise you, whether you are aware of it or not, you know these men. And it's funny how every single woman knows men who actively cause us harm in one way or another, but the second you point this out, every fragile male ego will go on the defense. Well, it's not me, it's not my friends, it's not the men in my life. Buddy, do the math. No, it's not all men, but yes, it's all women, so either way you slice it, that's way too many men. And believe it or not, there are plenty of men out there with much healthier relationships to their masculinity who are living fully integrated lives that will readily tell you just how many men out there do not like us. It amazes my own brother just how many men he has ran into out there who really don't like women.
I must have missed 60 minutes. What are you saying?
Alright, I'm gonna need you to do me a favor, woman. If you're going to accuse the majority of men of being cruel to women, can you at least do us the courtesy of providing a definition for the word harm? Oh wait, what's that? You won't do it? Well, of course you freaking won't, because if you did that, it would completely destroy your absurd argument. When you use vague terminology like that, you can lump in dudes who hurt women's feelings with the same monsters who relentlessly beat their wives, because telling a woman to shut up is about the same thing as felony assault, huh? But the reason why men are so quick to point out the flaws in your so-called argument isn't because of fragile egos. It's because you're accusing them of crimes that they never committed. And when they prove to you that they are not the psychopathic monsters who feed off of innocent women's tears, you still judge them guilty by association because they have the same chromosome makeup as some dude who refused to buy a woman flowers for Valentine's Day. And the best part is that even though you're playing an insanely dirty game, you still feel like you have the moral high ground, so you act as smug as possible, even though you're acting like a freaking child.
And my brother and my good guy friends will not take it personally when I or any woman points out this reality. They will not conflate very legitimate points about the dehumanization of women in our society with dehumanization of themselves as men. Because if you think anything I've said at any point in this series meets that definition, I promise you, you would not survive 6 seconds out there as a woman. Some faceless troll in the comments tells you men aren't people, and you think that's the same thing as systemic oppression? Talk about women being the weaker sex, because are you kidding me? Suck it up and grow a pair. Meanwhile, there's bros in my comments full on admitting that the only use they have for women is sex.
And
Woman, you do realize that throughout history, there have been literally hundreds of millions of dudes who have had no other use for women outside of bedroom fun, right? And I know this is going to be hard for you to believe, but they all weren't incel perverts. Some were soldiers, some were members of nobility, and some were just Chads who like to sleep around. Who freaking cares? But you're acting like this is somehow a new thing and we're all complicit in some type of horrific crime because Chad likes to pork. So what exactly do you want us to do about it, lady? What exactly is the solution? Tell Chad to stop sleeping with chicks? Leave replies to his comments in capital letters so he knows that we're serious? I mean, it's awfully convenient that you can just tell us we're doing every single thing wrong, yet offer no solutions that don't involve calling men out and potentially taking the law into our own hands. You're acting like these men are somehow forcing these women, but you're forgetting something. The two are engaging in consensual bedroom fun. That means the woman is just as guilty as the man, because she's the one who controls access to the bedroom. It's funny how you always leave that little tidbit out whenever it doesn't serve your nonsense argument.
Yet it's not those bros these fragile men are picking the fights with. You say you don't know these men? You're on social media, sir. They're right here in plain sight. Oh, but I guess they don't speak for you because they don't speak for all men, right? Meanwhile, when we try to politely explain how men benefit from the unpaid labor of women far more than the reverse, you take it as a personal attack. And then you wonder why some women just give up on all men. Because even if you don't believe you or your boys are actively causing harm, and I guarantee some of them are, you just don't know it.
Really?
Lady, you're forgetting something here. If you're going to accuse us of not listening to what you have to say, could you at least tell us what you're trying to say? Because that's technically important. I don't see how we can get defensive and shut down whenever you want to talk about women's issues when you don't even highlight any of the issues. You don't talk about how you're oppressed or how your life is made harder because of men. You think that because some women do laundry and cook a few meals, that's somehow on par as a man who breaks his back at his job to provide as best as he can a life for his woman. But no, he's getting paid to do his job, so therefore you deserve a freaking paycheck and a medal because you pressed start on a microwave and threw some underwear into a machine that dries the clothes for you. Those are literally the only forms of oppression that you can bring up because you know, just as much as we all do, that you are not oppressed. You have no examples, and yet somehow we are responsible for not only finding those mysterious examples, but we must also assume that our friends and our families are out there harming women when they're not benefiting from their subpar cooking skills.
You are still remaining willfully ignorant to the harm that is embedded against women in our society. And when women try to talk to you about it, you get defensive and you shut down. And while it is true that equality often looks like oppression to the oppressor, in this case, I don't even think it's that deep. I think you just need to get over yourselves. Because until you work through whatever baggage is preventing you from hearing what women are actually saying and not taking it so goddamn personally, you may not be actively causing women harm, but I promise you you're not helping.
Shut up. Just shut up.
You know, I find it kind of ironic that you need to go on a massively defensive rant where you make no points outside of emotional hearsay and vague platitudes because some dude left a comment on one of your TikTok videos. You talk about systemic oppression, about how you're dehumanized, yet your entire platform is based on the dehumanization and oppression of men. You talk down to us, you call us all sorts of names, and you say that if we're not resorting to vigilante justice, then we're just as bad as the rare minority of men who commit these heinous crimes. You talk about how badly you're oppressed as a woman, yet the only things that you can provide is proof of abortion laws, which are not oppression, and historical incidents from hundreds of years ago, which you don't even bother reading or intentionally taking out of context. And any valid counterpoint that a man might have when it comes to parental rights, reproductive rights, mandatory conscription in times of war, or anything of that nature, none of it ever counts because it only counts when the person in question packs a sandy hell portal of teeth-lined misery backed by a gender studies degree. So I'm going to need to ask you to grow up, kid. You're not oppressed in any way, shape, or form, so stop acting like it. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and be sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.